He said it didn't mean anything. But that night when he touched my hand under the blanket, he held it like he'd been waiting forever. My heart knew the truth before he ever said a word. He loved me, he just couldn't say it out loud. Not with my brother sleeping 6 F'd away. Welcome to my channel. Today's story is about the boy I was never supposed to love. My brother's best friend. Let's begin. I never planned to fall for Camden Reed. He was the kind of guy who made everything look easy, smirking through math class, catching passes on the football field like it was second nature. And he was always around because he'd been my brother Bo's best friend since middle school. At first, he was just that, Bo's loud, cocky, messy best friend who left Doritos on the couch and never knocked before walking in. But something changed last summer. It started with this quiet shift between us, like he stopped seeing me as Bo's annoying little brother. He started looking at me, not like I was a joke, not like I was invisible, but like I was someone he never meant to notice and now couldn't look away from. I remember the exact moment everything shifted. It was July. We were up at Lake Crescent, just me, Bo, and Camden. My parents were in Chicago visiting family, so the three of us stayed at our family cabin for the weekend. That night, Bo passed out early, asleep with a headphone still in. Camden and I stayed up watching some old horror movie, though neither of us were really watching. The room was dim, lit only by the flickering blue glow from the screen. Then, between a fake jump scare and a second soda opening, he said it. "You're not like how I remember you." I blinked. "What do you mean?" He smiled just barely. "You're older now. Different. Quiet, but in a good way. You don't try so hard anymore." I wanted to say something cool back, but I just stared at him, my heart doing backflips. Because this was Camden. Camden, who always joked around. Camden, who dated cheerleaders like it was a rotation. Camden, who was supposed to be straight and definitely not someone I was allowed to have feelings for. But I did. And that night, when our fingers touched under the blanket, he didn't pull away. He held my hand like it was the only thing keeping him together. We didn't say a word. The room was silent, except for the soft hum of the TV and Bo's light snoring in the next bed. We sat there, fingers tangled, both pretending we didn't feel the electricity crawling up our arms. I could hear my heart pounding in my ears, and in that moment I wasn't scared. I was seen. The next morning, he acted like nothing had happened. No mention, no glance, no touch. I convinced myself I imagined it. That maybe I wanted it so badly I made it all up. But 2 days later, when we got home, he texted me just one line. That night meant something. I stared at the screen for hours. I didn't respond. Not because I didn't want to, but because I didn't know how. This wasn't some random guy from school I had a crush on. This was Camden, my brother's best friend, the one guy who was never supposed to see me that way. And I couldn't figure out if that message was the start of something or a mistake. The next few weeks were a blur. He'd text me sometimes late at night, just short messages. "I keep thinking about you. I can't stop replaying that moment. I don't know what this means." I didn't know either, but I felt everything. And that scared the hell out of me. At the school, he was Camden, the football guy. Loud, confident, normal. But in the quiet moments when Bo wasn't looking, he'd glance at me like he was trying to say all the things he couldn't with words. And I hated that I started living for those looks. That every time I walked into the kitchen and found him there with B, my whole body went tense. Not because I was scared he'd ignore me, but because I was scared he wouldn't. I tried to act normal, to pretend nothing had changed. But every time he came over, every time he sat a little too close or brushed his fingers against mine, pretending to grab the remote, my world tilted. And I knew we were heading somewhere we couldn't take back. I didn't know if I wanted to stop it or if I even could. There's this kind of tension that sits in your chest and refuses to leave. Like a knot you can't untie. That's what being around Camden became. The more I tried to ignore it, the heavier it got. Like pretending we were just two normal people would somehow erase what happened. But it didn't. Because once you've held someone's hand in the dark, you can't pretend you don't know how it felt. 2 weeks after the cabin, Camden stopped texting. Not completely, but the messages slowed. 1 day turned into 3, then 5, then silence. I told myself it was better that way. Maybe he realized it was just a one-time thing. Some weird late-night confusion. Maybe he regretted it. Maybe he was scared Bo would find out. Maybe he was never serious at all. I tried to delete the texts. I couldn't. Then one afternoon, I came home and found him sitting on the kitchen counter, laughing at something on Bose's phone like nothing had ever happened. He looked up mid-laugh. His smile faltered just for a heartbeat, but I saw it, and then it was gone. He nodded at me like I was some classmate from school. "Hey man," that's all he said. Just "hey man." I wanted to scream. Instead, I turned to go upstairs, pretending I didn't care. But then I heard him behind me, his voice lower, quieter. "Tanner, can we talk?" I stopped. My heart didn't. I looked back. Bo had already walked into the garage. Camden stood there, eyes flicking toward the door, then back at me. "Just real quick," he said. I followed him to the backyard. The air was still, the sun too bright. Everything looked normal, but nothing felt that way. He didn't speak right away, just shoved his hands in his hoodie and stared at the grass. "I've been thinking a lot," he said. Finally, I waited about what we're doing or what we did. He exhaled hard. "This is all messed up, man." "Yeah," I said softly. "Because of my brother, because of everything. You, me, him. People talk, people assume. My dad would lose it if he knew I was even." He stopped. He didn't need to finish. "If he knew I was even into guys. If he knew I was even into you." He looked up at me finally. But the thing is, I think about that night every damn day, like it's stuck in my head. I've never felt anything like that before, and it scares the hell out of me. There it was. Real, unfiltered, messy, honest. I swallowed hard. "I don't want to be your secret, Cam." He flinched. "I'm not trying to make you one." "Yeah, but that's what this is. We talk when no one's around. We touch when no one's looking. And the second my brother walks into the room, I don't even exist to you." He stepped closer. "That's not true. It feels true." Silence. His jaw tightened. He looked like he wanted to punch something or cry. "I just don't know how to do this, Tanner. I don't know how to be this version of me in front of people. I've spent years pretending to be someone else. And you make it impossible to keep pretending." That line hit me like a brick to the chest. You make it impossible to keep pretending. We didn't touch that day. No hug, no kiss. But I saw the war in his eyes. One part of him wanted to run. The other part was already halfway in love with me. A few days later, it was Bose's birthday. Big party, crowd everywhere, music too loud, living room packed. I stayed on the edges, drinking hand, half watching Camden joke around with the other football guys. He hadn't looked at me once all night. Not even once. And then it happened. Some girl, I think her name was Reagan, wrapped her arms around his neck and kissed him right in the middle of the room. It hit like a gut punch. He didn't kiss her back, but he didn't stop her either. He just let it happen, and I stood there like an idiot, clutching a plastic cup, trying not to fall apart. I left early, didn't say goodbye. Around midnight, my phone buzzed. "Camden, come outside." I looked out my window. He was parked across the street, headlights off. I didn't want to go, but of course I did. I slid into the passenger seat. The car smelled like spearmint gum and sweat. He looked wrecked. I didn't kiss her back. I didn't say anything. She just did it out of nowhere. It didn't mean anything. My voice was tight. "Yeah. Well, neither did we, right?" His face twisted. "Tanner, don't do that. Why not? It's what you've been doing for weeks, acting like it didn't happen. Because I'm scared, okay?" He hit the steering wheel. "I'm scared of what this means. Scared of losing. Scared of losing everything." I went quiet for a long second. Then I looked at him and said, "You're scared of losing everything, but I've been scared of never having anything real at all." He didn't say anything after that, just stared straight ahead. But when I opened the door to leave, he reached for my hand and didn't let go. There's only so long you can live in hiding before the walls start closing in. And for me, in Camden, those walls were getting tighter with every passing day. After the party, something shifted. He didn't kiss me, didn't even try, but he stopped pretending. When he came over, he actually talked to me. Really talked. Asked how my day was, not in passing, but like he genuinely wanted to know. He'd linger in the kitchen when Bo wasn't around. Let his fingers brush my shoulder when he passed behind me. He was still careful, but he wasn't invisible anymore. And for a little while, I let myself believe that maybe, just maybe, this could be something real. Then one Saturday afternoon, everything began to unravel. Bo was in the garage working on his old beat-up Mustang. Camden and I were inside watching a game on mute, sitting too close on the couch, not touching, but close. Our knees brushed a few times. He didn't move. Neither did I. We were laughing at something, some dumb commercial. When Bo walked in and to grab a water from the fridge, he paused. His eyes went from me to Camden to the couch, then back to me. What's so funny? His tone was light, but something about his expression wasn't. Camden straightened up a bit. Just this stupid pizza ad. Guy puts pineapple on a steak, he said quickly. Bo smirked, grabbed his bottle, and headed back to the garage. But before he disappeared down the hall, he looked back at me just for a second, and I felt it. That flicker of suspicion, that cold, quiet, what if? That night, Camden texted me. Did he seem off to you? I stared at the message, heart pounding. It wasn't just in my head. I typed and deleted 3 times before sending. Yeah, he knows something. Camden, what do we do? I didn't answer because the truth was, I had no idea. The next couple of days were weird. Bo was still Bo, joking around, raiding the fridge, playing Xbox till 2 a.m. But every time Camden walked into a room, something in my brother's face shifted. He watched more, spoke less. And one night, when I came downstairs to grab water, I heard them talking out on the porch. Their voices were low. Serious. I froze just behind the door. Bo, you've been distant lately, man. You good? Camden. Yeah, just stress. School football. Bo, right? That at a pause. Camden. What else would it be? Another pause. Longer this time. Bo, I don't know. You tell me. Something inside me dropped. I slipped back upstairs before they noticed. I couldn't sleep that night. My chest was tight, my mind racing. What if Bo knew? What if he confronted me? What if he told our parents? At 2:04 a.m., Camden texted me. Can't sleep. I replied instantly. Same. You okay, Camden? No. A moment later. Meet me. 10 minutes. Your back fence. I threw on a hoodie and slipped out the back door. He was already there, leaning against the fence. Like he had 1,000 things to say, but couldn't find the first word. We didn't talk right away. We just stood there in the dark. He looked exhausted, eyes heavy, shoulders low. I can't keep doing this, he finally said. I held my breath. Not like this. Not hiding. Not jumping every time your brother looks at us too long. He turned to me. I want to be able to look at you when people are around. To talk to you without my voice shaking. He swallowed hard. Then quietly. What are you saying? He stepped closer. His voice cracked. I'm saying I'm ready to stop pretending. But if I do this, if we do this, I need you to be Alan too. I nodded slowly. I already am. He exhaled like the words were oxygen. Then finally, he kissed me. Really kissed me. Not in the dark, not under a blanket, but right there under the stars, with crickets chirping, the wind moving through the trees, and the whole world still spinning around us. And just for a moment, it felt like it was ours. But peace never lasts, not when secrets are waiting to break open. 2 days later, Bo found my sketchbook. I always kept it hidden. Bottom drawer under a pile of clothes. But that morning, I'd been drawing. A quick sketch of Camden, just his face, half-finish, shaded, personal. And I forgot to put it away. Bo found it while looking for a charger. I walked in and saw him holding it, staring at the page. His expression was unreadable. Is this Camden? My mouth went dry. I didn't answer. I didn't have to. He looked at me. Really looked. And I saw everything I'd been afraid of written across his face. Hurt, confusion, betrayal. Are you with him? The silence between us said everything. Are you with him? B's voice wasn't loud. It wasn't angry either. That somehow made it worse. It was quiet. Wounded, like the question had already answered itself the second it left his mouth. I couldn't lie. Not anymore. I didn't say yes. I just stood there frozen, throat dry, hands shaking while he held my sketchbook like it was something he wished he hadn't found. His eyes dropped back to the page. He ran a thumb across the drawing, like maybe the pencil lines would fade if he pressed hard enough. Since when? His voice cracked on the second word I finally spoke. Since the lake, he blinked. Then looked at me again. That long? I nodded. And you didn't think I deserved to know. That hurt, because part of me had wanted to tell him so many times. But I knew this moment would be exactly what it was right now. A mess of guilt, shame, and disappointment. You're my brother, Bo, and he's your best friend. What was I supposed to do? Just say, oh, hey, by the way, I'm falling for the guy you basically grew up with. His jaw clenched. You should have trusted me. That landed like a punch. Because he was right. But what he didn't understand was I didn't even trust myself most days. How could I expect him to carry something I wasn't strong enough to carry alone? He handed me back the sketchbook and left the room without saying another word. I didn't see him the rest of the night. Not at dinner, not even the next morning, but Camden showed up early before school. Unannounced, I was sitting on the porch step, sipping cold coffee, heart still racing from the night before. He walked up, hoodie on, hands in his pockets. He knows. Nodded. Yeah. What did he say? Nothing. And that was the worst part. Camden sat beside me, close but not touching. Do you regret it? I looked over at him. His face was pale, tired, eyes bloodshot like he hadn't slept either. No, I don't regret you. He let out a breath like he'd been holding it for weeks. Tanner. Then he reached for my hand, right there in daylight. No hiding, no checking over his shoulder, just his hand and mine. I didn't pull away, and I didn't look around to see if anyone was watching because for once I didn't care. That afternoon, Bo came home early. Camden was still over helping me rearrange my shelves so I could finally hang some of my sketches. Bo walked in. We froze. Camden stepped back instinctively. I hated that. Bo looked at both of us, his face unreadable. Can I talk to you? He was looking at Camden. Camden nodded and followed him out to the porch. I watched from the window. It wasn't yelling. It wasn't fists, but it was intense. Camden kept looking down. Bo paced once, then stopped, putting his hands on his hips like he was trying to stay grounded. Then Camden said something, one sentence, and Bo's whole body shifted. I stepped outside. What did you say? I asked after Camden walked off. Bo looked at me quiet for a second. He told me he loves you. My breath caught. He said he didn't plan it, didn't even understand it at first. But it's real. He wasn't messing with you. Wasn't lying to me. He's just been scared. We stood there in silence, the moment folding in around us. Then Bo looked me straight in the eye. You know what pisses me off the most? I braced myself. It's not that you're gay. It's not even that it's him. It's that neither of you thought I could handle it. That hurts. My chest tightened. I just didn't want to lose you. His expression softened. You didn't lose me, man. But damn, you made me feel like I didn't matter. That broke me a little. I stepped forward. I'm sorry. I really am. He nodded, swallowing hard. I just need time. Not to be okay with it. I already am. But to wrap my head around the fact that my best friend's in love with my brother, that's new. We both half laughed. Awkward, painful, but real. He better not break your heart, Bo added. He already has, I said quietly. Then he better fix it. That night, Camden came back. We sat on the back steps again, knees touching quiet between us. Then I turned to him. You told him you love me? He looked at me unflinching. Yeah, did you mean it? He smiled. Small, real, soft. I didn't mean to fall for you, Tanner, but I did. Hard. I rested my head on his shoulder, and for once, nothing about it felt like a secret. After Camden told Bo the truth, something in me shifted. Not just relief, not just hope, something deeper. For the first time, I didn't feel like I was waiting for the floor to drop. We weren't hiding anymore. But that didn't mean it got easier. At school, people talk, and in small towns like ours, they don't forget. It started slow. A few stares in the hallway, a whispered, "Is that the Blake kid with Camden Reed?" One guy on the football team asked Camden loud enough for others to hear. So you switching teams now? Cam just stared at him. Didn't laugh. Didn't joke it off. Just said, "Say it again. I dare you." No one said it again. But the silence afterward was just as loud. By the end of that week, Camden stopped getting invited to hangouts. People who used to chant his name every Friday night barely nodded at him. His teammates got weird in the locker room. He started skipping lunch and eating in his truck. And I hated it. I hated that he chose me, and it was costing him everything. One afternoon, we were sitting in that samey truck in the school parking lot. The sun had dipped just behind the trees. The world felt like it was, holding its breath. He didn't even look at me when he said it. I don't know if I can keep doing this. My chest tightened. You mean us? He shook his head. No, this place, these people, the weight of it all. I thought coming out would feel like some huge freeing moment, but it just feels like I opened a door and walked straight into a storm. I didn't know what to say because I saw it. He was unraveling in slow motion, and there was nothing I could do to stop it. I'm tired, Tanner. That sentence nearly broke me, because Camden Reed wasn't the kind of guy who admitted that. He was the one who always held it together. Until now. Later that night, Bo knocked on my door. He didn't say much, just came in and sat at the edge of my bed. "You guys okay?" I shrugged. "Not really." He nodded slowly, then looked at me with something I hadn't seen in his eyes since this all started. Understanding, you know, Cam's always been the one who kept me out of fights, the guy who took the blame when I wrecked Mom's car. He sat with me in the hospital when I broke my wrist. He's been more than a best friend. I waited, and if you're the person he's willing to lose everything for, then I guess you're worth it. My throat closed. "He's worth it too," I whispered. Bo gave a small, sad smile. Then, "Don't let him forget that." The next day was Friday, game night. Even though Camden wasn't starting anymore, he still showed up, suited up. Coach said something vague about team image and not needing distractions. It wasn't about football, it was about optics. But Camden laced up his cleats anyway, stood on the sidelines, and didn't say a word. At halftime, the team was losing. Quarterback was out, sprained ankle. Crowd was tense. Coach looked out of options. That's when Camden stepped forward. "Put me in." Coach hesitated. "You sure?" "I'm not quitting because people are uncomfortable." Coach paused, then nodded. "All right, go." When he ran onto the field, the stadium went dead quiet. Not because he wasn't ready, not because he couldn't play, but because they didn't know how to see him anymore. Their Camden had changed, but he didn't flinch. He played like fire lived in his veins. Second throw, 40-yard pass. Next drive, he ran it in himself. The crowd started to roar again, slow at first, like they had tour member. Remember that he was electric, unstoppable, alive. When he scored the final touchdown, he didn't raise his arms or beat his chest. He looked straight at the bleachers right at me and smiled. It wasn't for them, it was for me. After the game, I waited by the back gate near the locker rooms. He walked out, helmet under one arm, sweat still dripping down his neck. Before I could say a word, he dropped his gear and wrapped his arms around me right there in the open. No hesitation, no fear. I heard a few people gasp, a couple claps. One guy even shouted, "Let's go, Ray." But I didn't care, because in that moment, he chose me. Not in secret, not in the dark, but in front of the whole damn world. Later, as we sat on the tailgate of Bose's truck, his head resting on my shoulder, I whispered, "That was brave." He smiled. "So were you. You didn't run. I would have if you hadn't grabbed my hand first." He laced his fingers with mine. "Then I'm never letting go." Some stories don't end with fireworks. They end with peace, with soft mornings, with no more hiding. And that's exactly what being with Camden became. Peace. After the game, things didn't magically get better. Not overnight, but everything changed that night anyway, because when he held me in front of everyone, when he stopped pretending, he gave other people permission to stop pretending, too. Some still whispered, some still stared, but others didn't. And that was enough. My parents, they took it better than I expected, way better than Camden's. My mom cried a little, not because she was upset, but because she was scared for me. "Are you happy?" she asked. I nodded. Then nothing else matters. My dad didn't say much, but later that night he came into my room, ruffled my hair, and said, "Cam's always been like a second son. Guess now he really is." That stuck with me. Camden's family wasn't the same. His dad stopped talking to him. Told him to figure his life out and to stop embarrassing the name. His mom tried to balance both sides, loving but quiet, like she couldn't choose between her husband and her son. That broke him a little. He stopped sleeping, stopped smiling for real, until one night I found him in my driveway at 1:20 a.m., soaked from a siwazi, the rain, hoodie dripping, just standing there like he had nowhere else to go. I pulled him inside, dried his hair with a towel, wrapped him in a blanket. He sat there on the couch, head down, voice shaking. Why is this so hard, Tanner? Why does it feel like I'm paying for something that should be good? I sat beside him, quiet for a while. Then I whispered, because some people fear what they don't understand, but we're not here to make them comfortable. We're here to live. His eyes welled up. I'm so tired of apologizing for who I am. I brushed my fingers against his cheek. You don't owe anyone anything. That night, he fell asleep in my arms, and when I looked down at him, messy, quiet, fragile, I realized I'd never loved someone like that before. Not just for the good parts, but for the parts they tried to hide, the broken corners, the weight they carried when no one else saw. Bo came around more than I expected. He'd bring food, crash on the couch with us during movie nights. Sometimes he'd even sit beside Cam and ask about school like nothing had changed. One night, I finally asked him, "Why are you being so cool about all this now?" He shrugged, sipping his drink. "Because I know who Camden is. I know he's noticing you. I know he'd take a hit for you before he'd ever let you fall. And because I trust you both," he paused, then smirked. "Also, it's hilarious watching the guy who used to flirt with anything in a skirt completely melt every time you walk into a room." I laughed. So did Cam. Graduation came fast. We walked the stage, threw our caps in the air. Camden kissed me behind the gym afterwards, still in his gown, grinning like a kid. "You know what he want?" he whispered. "What?" "A future that doesn't feel like hiding." So we made a plan. Cam got into a college 2 hours away. I wasn't far behind. We didn't move in together right away. Gave ourselves space to grow, to breathe, but we stayed close. Shared weekends, shared coffee and old diners, shared slow Sunday. Mornings in his dorm bed, tangled in sheets with no alarms. We both kept sketchbooks. Mine was full of him. Half-drawn smiles, sleepy eyes, freckled shoulders. His was full of words. Camden never wrote before, but now he did. Messy letters, late-night thoughts, tiny moments he didn't want to forget. One entry read, "He fell asleep on my chest tonight." I could feel his breath slow. I used to think love was loud and wild, but now I know sometimes it's just quiet, safe, like the world finally stopped spinning. I cried when I read that one. One summer night, back at the lake where it all began, we lay on the dock staring up at the stars. The water lapped gently beneath us. The same sky, but everything had changed. Cam turned to me. "Do you ever wish we could go back?" I thought about it. The fear, the pain, the almost. Then I shook my head. No, because back then we were pretending. Now we're real. He smiled softly. I like real. And in that moment, his hand in mine, the summer air around us, stars above, and peace finally inside. I knew he was never just my brother's best friend. He was my first love, my safe place, my choice, and I'd choose him again every time. I didn't plan to fall for him, but I'd do it again in every lifetime. If you made it this far, please subscribe for more real stories like this one. You being here means everything. Love.